Hello, Earthlings. Welcome to a unique episode of Origins. My name is Matt Worldly, and we are recording live in Denver, Colorado. And I thought today, what a cool idea! What if I just showed these peeps my art in my laboratory? Because there's so much that goes on in here, but we don't really see the details too much. So I thought it would be cool to give you guys a little private tour and reflect on kind of the intentionality behind the artwork in here and some of the magic that has risen from just following a feeling. And what I'd like to start with is this piece of artwork right here. This is in here for a reason. This was a gift for a dear friend of mine who passed away, and I got this back in an estate sale, believe it or not. Yeah, that would have been bad. If somebody else got this besides me, it says right here on the bottom, without my bro, I would never know I am supernatural. And this piece of artwork was, the original was dedicated to Chuck, because he was my friend who supported me and opened my mind up to what was happening to me and helping me process it and understand it and not be too overwhelmed by it. But when I created this artwork, I was going through a lot of the stuff that I mentioned in the Origins videos, the crazy synchronicities. I was going through a lot, and though it was cool, it was also overwhelming. And that's what this piece of artwork represents, is me stepping in to my inner knowing that I am supernatural. And you can see there is an eye here and an eye here, and this is a nose and a mouth. And I'm kind of grinding my teeth, and I'm kind of looking up and to the side, and I'm feeling a lot of weight. There's a lot of pressure in this face that I have just pointed out to you, because I feel like I have this huge responsibility, and it all of a sudden just landed in my lap. And what landed in my lap was this alien supernatural experience. So you can see this eye is also a head. Here's the nose, and here's one of the hands. Here's the other hands, and then here's the feet for that image. And it's like kind of running like a bionic man. And these details here are supposed to give it motion and make it look like I'm kind of running like the bionic man. And while I'm trying to run, there's this little alien inside of my eye, and he's whistling, and here's his body and his hand, and he's got an arrow of love. And that's what all this is kind of what I determined, is although it was overwhelming and strange, it was all out of love. So we have this alien walking along. He's got one of my legs because he's manhandling me, because, I don't know, maybe I'm his avatar, or maybe it's just in his will to control what happens in my life or what happens to me. So he's whistling along like it's no big deal. He's got my leg in one of his hands, and he's stabbing me with an arrow of love in the other hand. One of my favorite details about this art is the top of the pyramid here, and how the eye is at the top of the pyramid, but it's also like my brain, and my brain is being ignited because I'm like, wow, I'm waking up and seeing all these things that I'd never experienced before. And then coming out of the top of my head here is this cool little Martian in his cool space suit. Here's his hand, and here's his eye and his nose, and he's just kind of bursting out of my soul, my spirit. It's like, hey, I'm here. I've landed on this planet. What do I do now? And this is really cool. This is like a planet with like a ring around it, and then the rings hanging off of the planet kind of look like the nose cavity of a skeleton. So this piece is very raw. It's very real, and it's called Supernatural. Boom, there you go. That's why that's in here. And this, you guys know about. Pretty lights represent. This was the night it changed my life. And believe it or not, this was also, I got this back from the estate sale. It says, Chuck, my soul brother, may you continue to grow, but never grow up. Mad love. See you in the next dimension. And the reason why I wrote that is because we're recognizing the power of the inner child, and how it's important to just like never grow up, to like stay curious, to continue being playful, and to just have fun and not take life too seriously. Because every day that Chuck and I hung out together was just an immense amount of fun. And Chuck is going to get his own Origins episode, and we're going to dive deep into that, and boy is it interesting. But this was the image that I created because when I went to Pretty Light's concert, this is when he kind of had the tower set up, and he was at the top of the tower. And I saw this image of him with his hands in the air, and I combined those two images because they were on completely different timelines to create this image. And I love it because when I saw this picture initially, I felt something so deep inside my soul, just like the freedom that he's experiencing in the cosmos is something that I just wanted in my life, and I feel like I've actually reached that point. I do feel like I'm one with the cosmos. So that's why this piece of artwork is in here. And this is La Gradone. This is the OG. This is where it all started. Every crazy thing in this room, you know? This insane laboratory that I have constructed over the past 10 years amounts truly and magnificently to this artwork, La Gradone. And this is probably going to be two Origin episodes from now. We're going to dive deep into this, and I'm saving it because there's a lot here. But ultimately, I ate some ecstasy one night, and it wasn't working, so then I ate some more drugs, and I thought that I was going to die after that because my heart started feeling weird, and I literally thought that this was going to be the last piece of artwork that I ever drew. So I let go of myself, and I just let whatever come through me onto this paper, and this is what happened. And what happened after that is absolutely remarkable, and it defined me. It truly defined me, and I was like, okay, I accept this mission. Let's fucking go. So this is La Gradone. This is my dragon. That's my spirit animal. Let's talk about this art. This piece of art is, oh my gosh. I think I forgot the title of this artwork, but the reason why I got this art, you guys, is because it's so intense. It's so freaking intense because it's something that I think most of us can relate to when we are in a place of numbness and we feel like we can't escape it, when we're just so consumed by our everyday habits and whatnot, and there's just this overarching energy, that just feeds off of our habits. I genuinely feel like that is a form of negative energy. It is a satanic energy. So I got this to remind myself that whenever I get into those really low moments in life where I feel like I cannot escape my bad habits, I just think there are literal entities in this world that feed off of our suffering as humanity. I wish that was an episode of Star Trek. I wish it was a joke. I wish it weren't true, but it is. And I think that it's so important to remember that because we are not alone in these times when we feel like we can't get out of these holes and we feel like, why is there this pressure on me? Why can't I just flick a switch and everything be okay? Well, it's because it's important to recognize that in another spiritual dimension, there are entities that feed off of negative energy. And, the summoning of, I'm not even going to get into that shit. This right here, this is a magnificent work of art that is unfortunately, I'm going to turn this black light on. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. Check that out. Look how beautiful that is. Whoop. There we go. So this piece of artwork is dedicated to Charles I. This was going to be for my friend, but it was too expensive, so she didn't want to buy it, but it's okay. I remember, okay, the name of this artwork is Taking Breath Away. And it's named that for two reasons. One, because it's stunning, because it takes your breath away. And believe it or not, this isn't even done yet. But the reason why I named it Taking Breath Away is because it reflects on the destructive power of nature and how nature can murder us at any moment. And it's not that nature is evil or that nature wants to kill us. It's more so that nature is just going about its business, and sometimes we are in the way. When we turn on the news and we hear that a bridge collapsed or just something crazy happened, it's just like, what? That person's unlucky. Maybe. Or maybe nature was just walking down the path and you accidentally got stepped on. So That is the image that I've created here, the getting stepped on. And I want you guys to think, like, when we're walking outside and we step on an ant or a bug, it's not that we hated that bug or that bug deserved to die. It's just that we are in such a completely different reality. Sometimes we're not aware of our actions and what happens. So if you look, it appears to be a mushroom, but if you look twice, there is a hidden image here. And that hidden image, there's an eye here, a mouth, and then this is a hand, and this is a hand, and then this becomes the body of this face that I just described. And they seem to be wearing this beautiful dress almost, and they seem to be looking down almost as if they've stepped on something, or oh, my bad. And here you have this beautiful otherworldly entity that could exist in some spiritual realm that could have, stepped on an ant, or in this case, murdered a human. So that's what this piece of artwork represents, and that's why it looks like this, powerful mushroom entity. But really, when we look at it, it's a series of things. But it represents the power of nature and how at any point in time, nature can take us the fuck out. And it's not because nature hates us, it's just because nature is powerful as fuck. And we will never understand the power of nature, the God-like will of nature. This is my table. You guys have been keeping up with the channel. This is my Fairies Nebula stuff. This is the stuff that I've been using as content for that series. And let's go back into the lab here. And I think we're going to wrap this video up because we're keeping it short and sweet today. I've got some pretty crazy episodes planned that I really want to take my time on because I've never told these stories before. But to end this video with a magical boom, let's do one thing. Let's give a shout out to my dogs. That's Pi on the left and Ray on the right. Pi lives in Sweden. Pi's probably dead now. God rest her soul. And Ray lived here with me. And there's a mural on the outside of my gallery of Ray Ray. Was he not just the cutest little dog? You know what? Let's just go look at that mural really quick before we do the grand finale of this interesting episode of Originz. Let me show you guys the outside of my space because I've been working my ass off on it, the entrance of it. Oh, and if you think that I was just a mad scientist with light, no, I'm also a mad scientist with nature too. Look at this shit. This is like this big creature that I'm building out of nature. I got all this amazing foliage from Oregon. There's a giant serpent being that I'm working on right now. That's all glued down individually. Truly, totally insane. But let's go outside here. Show you guys my mural. Look at this. That's my boy. Ray every day. That's my boy. This is the outside of my gallery. And that's a fucking giant helicopter. God damn. God damn. Loud as fuck. And this is the entrance to my gallery. I've been touching up the outside here with gold leaf. There's bronze leaf here. This is a mural that I did. And the laboratory is on the other side of this wall. How cool is that? And here's my boy. My Ray. Everyday day. Brown, black, and white, and gray. He was a damn good man. I love him very much. And this is the coolest mural in the world. Shout out to Reverie Art. And then boom, here's the entrance to my spot. Knock, knock, motherfucker. Let's go back into the lab now. Here's my new thing's a fucking beast. All right, we're going back into the lab. We're gonna wrap this up talking about this mural here. This mural I painted it with my ex-girlfriend. I designed it and then she helped me fill in some of the painting parts. She did actually the water and I think the land on here, and she helped with maybe the heart too. We're not together anymore because she's kind of a scheming ass bitch, but she's also a very beautiful soul, and I loved her very much. So God bless her and wherever she is now. This mural was painted probably in 2020, maybe 2021 at the absolute latest. But when she and I met, I came up with the idea for these beings because I lived down the hall here and I painted a mural on my wall. So this is a continuation of these mermaid beings from another dimension, and I incorporated them in this scene where they appear to be getting sucked through a portal or they're being shot out of a portal. It kind of can go both ways, honestly. That's one of my handprints, and then the other handprint is hers, and there's a UFO above it, and it's beaming up human handprints as to symbolize how the return, the rapture, the return of the mothership is ultimately to collect the blueprint and the creative handprint, the fingerprint of humanity, to take it back to source and recycle it into the creation of the next universe. How cool does that sound? And then we have the world, and it's all love. That's why this scene is reflecting a heart on the water, because yes, it may look intense, yes, it may be a lot, but it is all love. And this was done in 2020, I think, and then the floor was done in 2024. And I came up with the design for this floor as far as how these light strips are embedded in the floor. There's a total of 4 Govee light strips that are in the floor, covered in about 140 gallons of epoxy resin. Absolutely bonkers. But here we are, and it was a total success. It could have been bad, but it was great. And there's something that's really, really spectacular about this mural and this floor. When I designed this floor, I wasn't thinking about the mural. They were 2 totally different entities. I didn't give a fuck whether they played off of each other or not. I just wanted to have this floor be a success. However, later on I realized something very, very spectacular, something very magical that is undeniably relevant and visible here. I want you guys to look at these entities on the wall, these beings, and look at the shape. We have their arm that comes up, and then their head, and then their arm again. So we have arm, head, arm. And then in the center, there's that portal, that wormhole that's sucking them in or shooting them out. Okay? Now just remember that. And then when we look here, well, I'll be damned. It kind of looks like an arm, a head, an arm. There's a center point, the yin and the yang, everything and nothing. And then again, arm, head, arm. And it's like, wait a minute, are you telling me that subconsciously, or maybe that I just have no free will, and some aliens or something spoke through me or communicated through me, or I can't fucking describe it because it's just too good. For me to say that these entities exist in a 3-dimensional plane where there's like depth and there's the world and there's space, and then they go through this portal and then they become liquefied, and the portal and the colors of the portal start to drain into this epoxy resin. You can see that there's blue and there's green here, there's blue and there's green here. So it's almost like it melted and then it came out of the wall in this pool like liquid form, and now these entities that once existed in the 3-dimensional plane now exist, I just stepped on glass, now exist in a 2-dimensional plane. And here they are, as above, so below. As above, so below. And I tell y'all, I did not plan that. That just happened, And that's what makes all this so magical. That's what makes the art in here magical. It's because it's not just art, it's not just decoration. There's so much correlation here and connection and synchronicity. And yeah, that's a tour. I'm gonna end this video now, and thank you guys so much for watching Originz, for watching the transmissions. I'm currently trying to get my head in the right place for more laboratory discoveries, because those just I don't know. They're not hitting the way I want them to hit. So I think what I am gonna do is have like a special guest for each one, because I want to have some outside influence in here. Mondays it's just like all about me, Fridays like all about, and I just want to break it up a little bit and have some dialogue from maybe some supporting artists or some neighbors, or bring in some fucking homeless crackheads in here and get their opinion on shit. Like, who knows? Ow, fuck. All right, I gotta get this piece of glass out of my foot. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace, love, and light refraction.